Rowell Jewelers is the proud sponsor of Raging Mountain. Welcome, everyone, to a fresh episode of Mike North's Presser, brought to you by our friends over in Hoffman Estates, Rowell Jewelers. And this is the season where you got to get that special gift for that special someone. So make sure you visit Rowell Jewelers, located at 3001 Barrington Road in Hoffman Estates. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We should ask them if they got expanded hours during the holiday season. And they got a website, rowelljewelers.com, or give them a call over at 847-765-3000, or check out their Facebook page. I'm looking down to see if Mr. Mike North has entered the scene for his press conference, and he has. There he is. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
It's always good to see my pal, the Podfather, Aldo Gandia, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what kind of hairstyle I decided to go with today, but I'm looking great as you. Oh, I don't know. What am I, shooting a Western? I have no idea what it is.
It's sort of the Matt Eberflus haircut.
I think that's what it is. I got the Matt Eberflus shirt on. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if she tried. Well, yeah, I could leave him in the heartbeat, but that's beside the point. Good to talk to everybody in the bar room. We will take your questions in a few minutes. Lots of stuff going on. We got the Chicago Bears. I've been following, they had a bye this week. So, that was basically, let's watch some football and see how bad football is in other cities besides our own.
How true.
What we're talking about tonight, we got a game. I think the over-under is like 11. You got two offenses, New England and Pittsburgh, and struggling to score 10 points a game. I think the over-under is something I haven't even looked at. Let me just check real quick here.
I got it for you. Mike. Here it is. Yeah. The over-under. Actually, I don't have it. Patriots
30 and a half.
30 and a half. There it is.
So there is a bet out there that says that either team score 15 points. Now,
wow.
Yeah. Well, don't forget now, folks, some people go, geez, I didn't know this. Well, it's because you live in Chicago and you just read one side of things. The name of the papers here should be the Chicago, it's only our side. And then the other paper would say it's our side too. But the Patriots are one of the first teams, I think, in football history that have given up only 10 points the last three games, 10 points or fewer, and lost all three of them. The Steelers, I don't want to hear about Mitch. He hasn't had anything to do with this. In fact, he came in last week, went 11-17, and threw a touchdown. So he's coming in tonight. But that's an offense they fired their offensive coordinator. Pickett has had an absolute dreadful year. They're 28th in offense, while New England is like 32nd. So it's a very good possibility this game will be a 10-3 game. So what will I be hearing? Well, see, they got rid of Mitch. That was the right thing to do and all this. We'll hear all that tonight. I'll hear it. I'm prepared for it. But what will people say if Mitch has a great game? Well, it was New England, No, New England's defense, and this is where Belichick is a great coach. He doesn't have Brady anymore. We know it's over. He knows it's over. But don't tell him that he can't coach defense. Name me 5 players on that defense. He's given up 10 points a game. And he has been responsible for screwing up the offensive end. But once they lost the greatest quarterback of all time, which most people were still looking for, maybe the first quarterback of all time since 1940. But he's being criticized. Okay, Mac Jones backwards, not getting it done. I'll be the first to say he was smart for waiting for Mac Jones and he left Fields out there. No, he was dumb now. Okay. Yeah. You gotta give credit where credit's due. I'd rather have Justin Field. Okay. All right. But I'd rather have Mitch than Justin Field. Okay. And if anybody has an argument, go back and read just the stats, the wins, and everything else. That being said, I don't want to go through Caleb Williams. I don't want to go through this May kid. I don't want any of these guys because we're going to be getting, in some cases, a poor man's Mitch in May, who went to the same college, but he's not as good as Mitch Trubisky. I'm sorry. And then the other one, Caleb Williams, will be getting a poor man's Justin Fields. He's not as good as Justin Fields. I'm telling you right now. I watched 3-4 games after I heard the hubbub. I'm hearing next year he could finish in the top 10 as a rookie. He'll be lucky next year if he plays 6 games and does well. I'm hearing he may go nil anyway. Because I told Jay Billis and everybody when on this and ESPN 1000 that when they decided to pay the athletes, I said, it's going to be a mess. Oh, no, they deserve to be paid. Are you kidding me? They're saying Marvin Harrison could make up to $5-6 million next year, which is more than rookies make.
Wow.
Yes. So we could get screwed because all of a sudden, after 100 years, it was important that Deion Sanders could drive a Rolls Royce into the players' parking lot, while the other guys have gift certificates to Jersey Mike's. I heard that Stan Everett, Jay Billis, it's good. Everybody will get paid. Nobody's getting paid except the top stars like everything else. The other guys, they get a massage at the European massage place just outside of town. Or they get a Jersey Mike's or gift certificate. I saw Kansas State's best lineman on Twitter saying he does some stuff for Jersey Mike's. In the meantime, there's guys driving Ferraris. And Marvin Harrison will be one of them. So that's the problem the Bears have. Will we even have a chance? If you find out, if Caleb Williams finds out the Bears want me, I'm not coming out. There's no way I'm coming out. They're not going to pay me as much. And if they could pay me as much, they wouldn't anyway.
Right.
So this is how this whole mess has started. I'll keep Justin and Bajan. But I want everybody to keep in mind, since Mitch left, he played 50 games, 29-21. Then we had the Nick Foles experiment of 8 starts, the Andy Dalton experiment of 6 starts, the Trevor Siemian experiment of 2 starts. Realdo's going, Mike's going for the jugular. He actually prepared. The Bajan, who I want to keep, 4 starts. And Justin, 33 starts. And 33 starts, and I said this to Aldo 3 years ago, he's got to have a year like Trubisky had in 2018, 11-3, 95 to 100% rating, big-time touchdowns, less interceptions, and he hasn't had that. That being said, there's nobody out there I want more than him right now. Maybe they can pick up somebody like Mitch or somebody else, Minshew or any of these guys off the list and have some competition next year. So that's where I stand. I think the Bears have the arrow pointing up a little bit. And I know people don't want to see this guy win. I do. I want to, if they don't win, don't forget about Eberflus. Forget about Fields if they don't win. This is an indictment on everybody. This ain't going to be like, it's just the head coach's fault or it's Getsy's fault. That's what the media does. They pick one guy.
Yeah.
In the meantime, let's say they lose the next 3 games. It's hard to state a case for a quarterback coming at 6-29 or 7-29. So if you want those coaches and everybody to go, he's going to go too. And I don't want him to go right now because I don't believe in Caleb Williams. He's a prima donna. He doesn't know if he's coming out. He cried in his mommy's arms. He has frozen out the press out there. He's nothing but trouble. He's nothing but trouble. May, I don't think is going to be good enough. So I'm going to stick with this guy. That is my press conference. If people got questions, of course, I'll take Aldo. Of course, Aldo goes first all the time with this. Aldo, I don't know how you felt about it. But I just think that they still got an opportunity to get better, and they already got the first pick. So it's not like they got to lose, which is great.
Got several questions here. In fact, before I ask my first question, I'm going to throw this one at you from Bruce Ali Walter Jordan. He says, what does Mike think about keeping Flus and just getting rid of the offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy?
Nah, I don't think so. I think if Luke Getsy has another year, I do understand. I got to find out, did Getsy shut down in fourth quarters, or did Eberflus tell him to shut down? Like in other words, Fields plays a different game his first three quarters. And then all of a sudden, as we've talked about, they're trying to find out things that they should have found out a year ago or 2 years ago, or watched tape and found out about Fields. And I think they're still confused about what to do, because he's got flashes. Look, if Fields couldn't run, he'd be out. Because he'd have to just like, okay, I'm going to gain 2 yards on a run. He'd be Avellini the way that he's performed. That's cruel.
From a throwing standpoint, yeah.
From a throwing standpoint, period.
Yeah, it was interesting because Cam Newton was on one of the podcast talk shows, and he talked about that we're misevaluating the athletic quarterbacks with the Peyton Manning great throwing quarterbacks, that we have to account for their rushing yards for athletic quarterbacks along with their passing yards. And I think that's a great point. Like, for instance, when Mitch Trubisky was here, I always thought that he was at his best when he ran a lot, when he ran for 40, 50, 60 yards a game.
I agree.
And it seemed like the coaching staff at the time was telling him not to run. Wow. And the same thing has happened with Justin Fields. So I think that's a bad mistake to do with these athletic quarterbacks. Let them create with their legs.
Okay, I agree with that. And but I will say this, sooner or later, the more you run, as we've talked about before, the more you're going to get dinged up. I just think the Bears are in a tough spot right now. They don't believe in this guy. And by the way, when I start stating more of a case for Justin Fields, and I finally saw something on tweet today directed at somebody who's active media-wise in this town, who said, why are we going to continue to believe you? You've wanted every quarterback except Mitch. Finally, some just regular guy.
Yeah.
And you go overboard on everything the Bears do. And then who am I describing? Could be any one number of people. Okay. But he's a fan. I'm a fan of his, but you just gotta slow the brakes, because your credibility's shot when it comes to you talking about any other quarterbacks.
Excellent. Well, and I want to get back to the subject of Mitchell Trubisky with you.
I love Mitch. You know that.
I know you do,
and I believe in him. And he's. They said he's. Today they gave his overall record. It's a winning record, and he's got more touchdowns than interceptions. I go, why say that on the bar room whenever I get the opportunity, like every 10 minutes?
Well, it's no surprise.
Go ahead, my friend, because we have a lot of respect for each other. It's the Christmas season, and you know what? I'm happy for Mitch. I'm happy for Mitch that he gets to show somebody something tonight, but who knows? Maybe his confidence is completely shot. He's got to be more of a man. They ain't paying you $20 million as a backup because they don't think you can get it done. So you got to go out there tonight and perform against a very good defense.
Well said. Well said. And I know your confidence in Mitch is sky high. At the press conference this week, he was asked, what is the number one attribute that you bring to the game? And Mitchell said this, and he had a special guest with him.
I feel like that's one of my better attributes, just showing up and going to work every day. I truly believe work ethic takes you a long way in this world, and just being the best teammate and player you can be. And I just try to show up every day, do the best I can, help this team, and work as hard as I can.
The way you stand behind this guy is so impressive.
That better be our cut for today. And how good you are. I'm proud to stand next to him. I'm proud because here's what I noticed. I noticed Joe's even avoiding the subject of him. You know, they avoid. There he is. Like your jersey. Could use a couple of numbers on the side. But
yeah, really.
Yeah. But I'm not one of those. Now, I know what's going to happen to me. Aldo already knows this.
Yeah.
He told me before the show started. He says, Mike, he said, so sorry that you're going to have to go through something. It's somebody you believe in that had a winning record, performed well, but now he got shunted along. He's been replaced at halftime of 2 games, but I just admire the way you've stood by him. What really Aldo never told me that. I wish someday that he would tell me that. But no, I think if you think of one person in this country that has stood by Mitch Trubisky, if you don't come up with me first, I'll be hurt. Because tonight I'm going to have the cigarette dangling out of my mouth, pacing back and forth. Remember how back when you could smoke without being shamed?
Yes.
On all the detective movie shows, or if somebody was worried, oh, the cops are closing in. There's a guy that's always walking back and forth going, what are we going to do, Blackie? What are we going to do, Ken? That's me tonight. I'll be pacing back and forth like a man expecting his first child, just hoping that he can pass for 100 yards.
That's great, Mike. That is great. By the way, look at the T-shirt I'm wearing. Robert Mitchum has a cigarette dangling out of his mouth.
Let me tell you, I didn't even see that. But I'm going to tell everybody this. If Aldo had any sense of decency, if Aldo had any sense of self-worth, he would put up a picture of Jane Greer, one of the underrated film noir starlets of all time.
Here. I'm wearing
That's what he would do. Because when I hear,
there she is. Wait a minute.
No, she's on the other side.
I hear.
Yeah. That does her no justice. None.
Oh, God, I love
Bob
that.
Mitchum's head with a cigarette dangling is out there. But Jane Greer was outstanding. Great movie star. And supposed to be a pretty good, decent guy, Bob Mitchum was.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Time on the chain gang in the 40s for smoking grass.
So smoking the stuff. Yeah.
If that was the case now, there'd be chains on every car driving down the highway.
You ain't kidding.
If you smoke grass, you'll have chains on your car. There'll be chains on every car.
All right, let's get.
I'll tell you what. There's a place called Rise where you can buy marijuana. The only thing they're missing on the sign is the same thing McDonald's has. Over 1 billion sold. Jesus. I didn't know it was an epidemic. I go, what is here? What's going on here? A ball game? No, they're going to buy grass.
Should be all like over 1 billion smoked.
Yeah, over 1 billion smoked with the clown looking at him.
That's hilarious. All right, let's see what we got here. Lots of talk about this news that came out yesterday about the Bears looking at the south lot of Soldier Field to build the stadium. Tareen said, thoughts on the Bears looking at the south lot to build a potential stadium that doesn't solve the parking issue. It is too small. And then there was another thought or question on this. Yeah, Jay Sanders says, what does Mike think about the Bears moving to the south lot?
Well, I remember when they threatened to move to Gary. And I did a spot on Fox, which I won an Emmy for back when they did great TV on Fox, local for the Bears.
Cool.
And one of the spots was I drove up to the toll booth in Gary with a gas mask on. And I said, where's the Bears? And the guy, he knew it was coming, but we had our camera crew ready. I pulled up and he hadn't seen me with the mask. So I rolled down the window. I go, excuse me. Where's the Bears new site going to be? Because it was supposed to be built by a landfill and all that.
All right.
The McCaskies were trying to bluff the city of Chicago with a deuce, a 5, a 7, a 9, and a jack. There was no way. I knew when I drove home, I was like this. I saw the abandoned car. I go, geez. So I found it comical. I found it not something I'd take serious. The reason we're leaving there is because of the location, because of the smallness of the area, because of the inclement weather that's worse there than anywhere else, because it's hard to get to, because you can't find a cab, and because Bear fans won't continue to pay these high prices for an antiquated stadium that was built in 1920. I don't care how you try to spruce it up. I mean, you can go to Ravenswood now. There's 1910 bungalows that look like they were just built. Okay. The only problem is you gut everything out. What they did, is they gutted everything out, and then they decide to use basically a spaceship and surround it to try to block everything but the pillars. And I don't understand why you need the pillars. You can knock down the pillars and build new pillars.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, we got to have the pillars. No, if you call it Soldier Field at Arlington Park or anything else you want to call, which they won't, because you got to put, they'll have somebody like a guaranteed low rate field. That's worked so well for the Sox. They think so. I just think it's ridiculous. I never bought it, and I think that even that it's getting out. And I know you don't want to address everything, but the fact that the Bear president, who was hired for this reason, hasn't addressed anything leads to ridiculous stuff like this. I would never want to go there. I don't care how nice it is, Aldo.
Well, I gotta believe. Bruce Ollie Walters says, I remember spending the day at Glencoe Beach and my lungs hurting from the steel mills in Gary.
I couldn't believe the smell because you can still get some hints. There's not that many open when you go to the boats.
Yes,
I used to go out to by that area of the, and there's always that one. It's a beautiful drive until you get near the boat, and all of a sudden you're driving through a viaduct. In Gary, that's not good. But you could still see the surrounding most unattractive areas in America, which is where those boats are at.
Yep, indeed. Toreen says that Arlington has 326 acres. SoFi out west has 299 with a capacity of 100,000. He thinks, and I agree with him, that the Cook County tax assessor is playing games with the Bears organization.
They can't do nothing right. Nobody can do anything right. And bringing in this guy, this president, who has no idea about Illinois politics whatsoever, who they've been run down before. So I don't know how the people of Arlington feel about it. And I don't know what happens to the tax base. Does it help the residents there? It should. But they're more worried about themselves than they were about anybody in that area. Yeah. I walked by there the other day. I drove by Arlington the other day on 53. And I used to love to just see it. And I'll be the first to say I didn't go to many horse races the last 10 years, but I spent some of my youth there and a lot of other times there. And I was sad until I said, well, maybe they could build the stadium there. But now I read this nonsense that's leaked out, that's given to a media guy about Soldier Field. There's no way in hell, especially with the way the city's going, that you're building that stadium there. Unless you can get guarantees from the city, you're going to start enforcing laws. You're going to start coming down on people that hurt people, and that you're going to try to keep the crime back down. I mean, why would I want to build anything there? I mean, that's not in the cards, I don't believe.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see what else we got from people in the chat room.
I'm ready.
Mike Withrow says, I agree with Mike. I rather reluctantly keep Fields, let him and Bajan compete for starters jobs after trading picks down for extra picks, 6 extra picks in the first 4 rounds, and rebuild the team.
I will say this to Mike. You guys are all listening, and we get a lot of response. Thank you for all the messages. Aldo gets them. Tonight, people will say to me, if Trubisky has a bad game, see Mike, or if he has a great game, what's New England? They don't know that I want to keep the guy we got, even though I didn't want him. I didn't necessarily want Mitch. I wanted Watson.
That's right.
So I'm a Bear fan. And my old adage is, if we win 3-0 the next game, that's fine. If Mitch wins 6-3 tonight, because I saw the score up there, 3-0, 6-3, fine. That's how they've been winning anyway. I'm praying. I'd love to see, because not because of anybody at the bar room or in the Chicago media, the national media, the guys that keep saying this and that. I want him to throw for 3 touchdowns against New England tonight, a tough defense. I don't think it's going to happen. His confidence, he doesn't want to mess up. They don't want anybody to mess up. They didn't want Pickett to mess up, and it's hurt them. I mean, they couldn't wait to put him in, and it's been a disaster, but yet they've been winning. So I just wanted to play well tonight, and he's got, I think, better players. I mean, Zappy's not better than Mitch. If they're -6 tonight, I'll probably bet Mitch. I'll put my money where my mouth is. That's it.
Well, you've got supporters on that. This is the wrong one. John says, I'm going to wear my Trubisky jersey tonight. Solidarity with Mike.
Yeah. Well,
Tareen
I would be anxious to see. Well, I think the Fields people, even though, I mean, their argument is baseless now because he's not. I mean, I heard Justin today. He's a grown-up man. I read about him today. Yeah. Grown-up man. He goes, I understand the scrutiny. I understand that people are going to question.
Right.
I get that with the position. I know. Right. He forgot to say, I deserve it. The scrutiny. He forgot to say that because if people scrutinized Fields with the record of Mitch's, they'd be buried. They'd be buried. There's always been a two-tier system for Fields and everybody else that played quarterback in Chicago, even Cutler. He never. So I understand the scrutiny. He forgot to say because I deserve it. Not just him though. He's heard everybody else take it. But I thought it was brave of him to say, I'm the quarterback, and it's got to fall. Everybody but the media doesn't understand. It's the quarterback that's got to make this thing go. I mean, who do we hear about that's not getting the job done? Every year we hear about quarterbacks, and this year's been the worst. It's not just Tim. It's a whole list of people. Look at tonight. Zappy versus Mitch. As much as I love Mitch, the second stringer is playing Zappy. That's just the way it is. And they're hoping to get 15 points out of each team, and that's not necessarily just the quarterback's fault. But the defenses are going to be outstanding. I heard there's a bet that for like minus 180 that there's going to be a 0-0 quarter. Hell,
my goodness.
There might be, but you got to put 180 down. So if somebody picks a field goal, that's 3-0, and you lose your money. You got to pick the quarter.
Amazing. Toreen says that Cap over at ESPN 1000 keeps repeating that Caleb coach says he's better than every quarterback except Andrew Luck. So Caleb's USC quarterback, I forget his name, is saying that
Caleb Williams. Yeah. Well, I disagree. So I mean, I heard that about a lot of different quarterbacks. I just want everybody to try to go over the list of USC quarterbacks. I mean, I'm seeing in college now that you can't even be undefeated, and you're crapped on from the same people that, and they set this up like 4 weeks ago. Well, if the quarterback isn't there, then they can't possibly win. How about you, Charlie? I agree, Bob. I think being on the committee's been one of the great moments of my career. What did you win in college, SEAD? Nothing. But I really think that they're not capable of winning, so I think we should keep an undefeated Power 5 team out. What do you think? I agree, too. I think they'd probably lose. How about you, Joe?
Well, maybe, fellas, we should have a little understanding towards the situation. I mean, they did go undefeated.
And Josh, well, don't forget. Don't forget. They won 3 games without their starting quarterback. And the only reason we didn't drop them to number 5 at the beginning is we thought they were going to lose. Right about that. Here's what the cowards did. There were 3 weeks to go. Instead of taking Florida State and saying they just lost their quarterback, so with him out, we're dropping them to 5 with 3 weeks left in the season. But what did they do? Oh, they're winning without their quarterback. Let's keep them 1, 2, 3, or 4 the whole time.
Yeah.
So now they win every game, and they win with a third-string quarterback. And they don't tell you the second stringer that they won with is coming back. They were gutless to drop them to 5 once the quarterback got hurt. Yet they win every game with the other quarterbacks, and now they're saying we're going to drop you to 5 this week because you didn't have your quarterback. Well, wait a minute. We won 3 weeks in a row, and our defense is one of the best in football. And right now they're saying we'd only be a 1-point underdog if we were in. And whatever happened to the underdog or the guy that wasn't supposed to win? Look, this was fixed for Alabama. They never thought it was going to happen. They had no choice because I guess winning the SEC means you automatically get a berth. You're supposed to be automatically one of the four instead of the one out. You had Georgia win. You had Alabama beat Georgia, but you had Alabama lose to Texas.
Yeah.
So neither one should probably be in. But they didn't have the guts. They didn't have the guts to keep Alabama out. And from the time they put the BCS in, you check out the SEC before the BCS was put in. They were irrelevant. They got the right guys in place. They got the PR in place. They had a couple good teams, and they've been living the high life ever since. And they deserve to stay home because I can make a case. I just saw somebody behind you, Aldo, go, boy, you're good. Not really. It was a dream I had. I just want to know if Oregon, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State were in, that's as good as what we got now.
Mm-hmm.
Because Oregon, I'm reading this yesterday, would be favored again against Washington. You know who shouldn't be in? I hate to say it. The undefeated team from the Pac-12. They are going to get their asses kicked. They're going to get their heads handed to them. They don't play any defense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Their quarterback goes undefeated. They left him off the God blessed All-American first team. I just can't believe that grown men. And then I'm hearing guys I respect, Adam Shine from CBS. Oh, they made the right call. Clay Travis from CBS. Well, you know what? Clay Travis is the best because he's making a big deal about the men and women in the pool. You know, how fair is it? Men swimming against women in the pool. About as fair as an undefeated team in the Power 5 conference, douchebag, not getting in. What a douche. I gotta listen to these people. That I mean, where did you compete?
Yeah.
My God, where did you compete? If you were in a bowling team, the barroom bowling team, it's one of the best. Nobody's heard about it. Vinny Parisi's the leadoff man. I'm second. Aldo's third. Okay. We'll probably put John Buffon fourth. Okay. And our best bowler is Dan Weeder. Okay? So, Dan, our best
Joe Mandel.
Yeah, Joe Mandel, our best bowler. Now, the guy behind him, we won 3 weeks when he wasn't there, our sixth man.
All right.
Anyway, we win the league, but our fifth bowler goes down. But we win the league running away. We defeat everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an invitational for the top 4 teams in bowling. But Joe Mandel went down and we're not invited. Do you know that there would be tables turned over from here all the way downtown?
Yeah.
If any of these people who are against Florida State going got screwed in the same way. I know the media people. I know them all. The first guy to cry would be the men in the pool, which is unfair, but guys winning and going 13-0. Clay Travis?
Yeah.
My God, I couldn't believe what I'm hearing. You do sports talk for a living. And because one guy's out, and they won without him 3 times, you think they're not deserving.
Yeah.
The arrogance is overwhelming, ladies and gentlemen.
It is. It is. Mike Withrow says a barroom bowling team would be pay-per-view. Get the crew from all those party on the team. That would be good.
I mean, seriously. You're in a fast pitch league. There's 3 guys. You go to the park. You have a league, six teams.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 guys on each team. 1 guy throwing against the wall. The other 2 guys are in the outfield. Me and Aldo are on 1 team. Okay, we win every game.
Mm-hmm.
But one of us goes down. We're not invited.
Yeah, that's not right.
What?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I
was a money grab.
Yeah, exactly, and it's become figure skating. I think it was Mike Greenberg on get up the ESPN
You
shows.
stole it from me.
Oh, there you go.
I said, no. I will say this. I said it was like a gymnastics judge, so I know.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to how dare you, I got two more questions to get at you. Mike Wallace wants to know about the Bulls' 3-game winning streak without Zach LaVine, who could potentially be out in 2 or 3 weeks or something like that.
Which I know that they got 9 of their next 12 games against teams above 500.
Okay, so that's.
But I don't care. The LaVine signing from day one. I said it right here on the bar room. I know I can remember this. Sometimes I say, did I say it? By the way, ESPN tomorrow. Got a busy day tomorrow. I'm going to be on the bonus pick with Carmen and Yurko. I'm going to be on the odds couple. We'll be on Saturday morning today, but we're going to do the podcast tomorrow. And also we're going to do Somebody Big Just Died tomorrow with our guy, one of the all-time greats, Norman Lear, who in the 70s hit it out of the first 10 shows, produced 5 of them. A record that is not paralleled. Also wrote for Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. That's how far back he goes. It's going to be an entertaining show. So I'm going to be very, very busy. But I do want to say that when Zach LaVine was signed, I know exactly where I was at. Just like when Grandel was signed. For some reason, they say, let's sign him when Aldo and Mike are on and really get something out of him. And when they signed him, I came on with Aldo. We just got lucky. I said, we're 55-1 beforehand, and to win the title, and we're 55 after. The Bulls definitely reduced his value, as we're hearing. But he reduced his own value. He doesn't play defense. He's not a guy that you'll see profusely sweating, diving for balls. He's an offensive star. Basically, that's it. And it's a bad look. I don't care who you are. If you're a pertinent member of a team and you get hurt, the last thing you want to see is your team win every game without you. Your team win every game without you. You don't have an ego. You're just saying, well, wait a minute. And if you're Zach LaVine, you're at home going, wow, and I understand their competition's going to get better, but they can't even peddle him, Al, because there's no market for him. That tells you that's a front office screw up from the get-go from that guy, that new guy. I mean, they're making me want packs back.
Oh my goodness, that's quite the statement. But
look at Zach LaVine.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. I got one more, and it has to do with the Chicago White Sox. Apparently, Jerry Reinsdorf has met with the mayor of Nashville. There is speculation that he might be thinking about moving the organization, the Chicago White Sox, down south. Have you heard about this? I have not heard about this. It's being told to me by people in the chat room. What are your thoughts?
I've been through this with him already. I was through this with him at Tampa when he wanted to move the team. The team and the fan base never recovered from putting them on pay TV and threatening to move the fan base, getting a sweetheart deal from the state of Illinois and Governor Jim Thompson. I'm going off memory, folks. Other people they'll be on Wikipedia today. I was here. That's the advantage I got. It was basically a good thing, I thought. Then we signed Pudge Fisk. I said, this owner is unbelievable. He's bringing us in a guy that was a Boston legend who, to this day, is the most successful free agent the White Sox ever signed from 1981. I don't want him to move. Why don't you worry about moving the team from that stadium and moving it to a more viable area of Illinois or in Chicago? Why would you want to move to Nashville? That's as bad as the Bears wanting to go back to Soldier Field. Because I believe if somebody came in tomorrow and said, we're going to build a new stadium, okay? And I've said this about the Bears. I'd already, as the owner of the team, worth $6 billion, if I was fortunate enough, I'd have the new stadium site already, and I'd be ready to get Jim Harbaugh to come in. And I'm hearing all this nonsense. It's all for tax breaks. Jerry Reinsdorf hasn't had to pay for that stadium for the most part. They have an attendance clause. But if he wanted to leave, it would be sad, and I think it would be sad for the American League. It would be sad for baseball. But look at Oakland. Nobody thought in the 70s Oakland was ever going to move. And now they're in Las Vegas. And 5 years ago, guy says to me, I watched Ocean's 11, okay, the original, the other night on TCM.
Mhm.
I wept. I openly wept. What a town that was back then. All the hotels were 1 and 2 stories. They were ranch style. Everything was clean, immaculate. Everybody dressed to kill. But it was Satan's playground. That's what it was. We can't put anything like sports in here. Never will that happen. Oh, my God. Now I read where Maverick Carter, who's LeBron James's agent, was actively gambling in games 3 years ago. What does he know, right?
Yeah, right. He doesn't know it.
He doesn't know. People just gloss over it. The people just gloss over that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so what? You know, and I see now where it's not Satan's playground. Okay, they're bringing Formula One racing, which it was an abomination. They are bringing the tournament. I was wrong about that. I thought the NBA in-season tournament would not be worth a damn. I was wrong. Because from what I understand, even the Lakers of all people, they like that extra $500,000 for the winner. Each player's getting $500,000. Well, these are guys making $20 million. But if you're given $500,000 to win 5-6 games, so I'm watching the other night. I'm going, what is this? The last game of the NBA championship? There's guys diving for balls. They're drenched like it's 1970. One guy had a goatee. It's dripping like Bill Russ. I mean, they're busting their ass to win these games. So I was wrong about that. Good job by Adam Silver. Okay. And as usual, the Bulls were bounced right away. They were
Unfortunately, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something. Moving franchises is tough luck, and they've ruined this franchise so far. They ruined the fan base. I don't know if it was an intentional thing. I don't know if it was a major league type thing, because every move they've made, including fan accommodations, from what I understand, and I've been there in the past, is not up to snuff. And it's too far a journey for most in Illinois. I'd move the team, but I'd move it somewhere in Illinois. I'd move it to Rosemont. I have no shame. I'd move it to, you know where I'd move it? Arlington Heights.
Wow.
The White Sox. Why does it say it's got to be on the south side? You're not supporting them there. It's too far. There's not as much new building being down there. It really is an underwhelming area right now.
What about Naperville, the southwest suburb that has been growing, and they've actually been talking to the Chicago Bears, according to a couple.
Let me tell you something. If the White Sox went where there's actually people, but they got to be voted in. They tried it with Addison. Addison made a mistake and voted them out. Reinforth never wanted this site, ever. But what was left? But Arlington Heights is there. If the Bears don't want it, the White Sox over there with the expressway and 53, 90, easy access, I think it would be great. I don't know how the people would want it around there. I don't know if people I know in Arlington Heights would want to look up and hear the exploding scoreboard at 11 at night. But it would be something to consider. And I'd build an all-purpose stadium there if I was Reinsdorf. And have concerts and everything there. That's what they're missing. That's what they're missing at I remember when they had wrestling matches at Comiskey Park, the cage death matches.
Oh, yeah.
Rusher. Packed. They don't try anything like that.
Right.
You know? The big move by them is to get rid of their announcer.
Yeah. Well, I hate
By
that
the
move.
way, I heard one of the reasons Jason Benetti gave for being let go. He was told not to eat on the air because it wasn't elegant enough. In other words, they were doing close-ups of him and the way he was eating. So anyway, I read that yesterday. But he did a football game during Feast Week or a basketball game, which was sponsored by a food company. He had the glasses. He was fogging up. He had the hair. He went like that. It was ugly. It was ugly. Sorry, Jace. I'm happy you got a job, but there's a reason they told you not to eat on the air. I mean, my God, it looked like Rodin eating a human. You know what I mean? Forget about it.
Oh, you're mean.
I am, but I like. Hey,
But that's why I like you so much.
you know what? I said, well, who's going to be as good as him? I go, I would, but I never get that opportunity.
All right,
Aldo, me and Aldo are going to do the games. What do you think of that, Mike? It sucked. You're fired. You got to catch that ball. You're fired.
All right, we love to close the show with our new feature. This is the 4th week that we have this feature called How Dare You? And it is a creation from the mind of Mike North. Mike, what do you have this week?
The first one goes out to Mike Golick Jr. I saw him talk about the workout regimen of 33-year-old Taylor Swift. I also have a message for all the Swifties out there. I guess that's what they're called now.
Right.
I go back to Connie Francis. I go back to Madonna. Britney Spears. Okay? Wait, I heard something just bang. Aldo has the hots for Britney. I go back to Debbie Gibson. Yeah. You're going, who are some of these people? They were all phenoms at the time. Nobody's a bigger phenom than Taylor Swift, though, right now. 2 things. I've heard from some that she's more popular than the Beatles ever were. No, the Beatles were worldwide, and they were in every magazine, in every country on this planet. Okay? And the countries that didn't have a magazine, they got one that said Beatles on it. Okay, so that's the number one thing. But number 2, Mike Golick Jr. talks about today, the workout regimen of Taylor Swift. He said before this concert tour, she was like a frat boy. She didn't work out for her stuff and everything else. So I'm going, okay, this time she put 6 months in. She's a billionaire. People come to see her. What it basically told me, she was lazy before this tour, and she got herself together. Mick Jagger's 80. Would outlast you running up and down the stage. You'll be out of breath, sweetheart, halfway through your show. I've seen him. He's 80. He'd run you down. Okay? Last 47 more years, and this goes out to Mike Golick Jr. too. All you Swifties. How dare you?
We're going to get in trouble with the Swifties. They got a big army.
Wow. You know what? I will say this about her. Every person that I just named, I knew at least 5 songs. I don't know 5 Taylor Swift songs. Do you, Aldo?
Yes, I do. I do. I listen to a lot of Taylor Swift, I have to admit.
You are a Swift. All right. Number 2. Okay. Number 2. And this is revealing. And it comes into play. What I read the other day, and we talked about it, but I couldn't tell Aldo what we were going to talk about. Okay. Because Aldo just brought it on. The Chicago Bears with their latest bluff, ladies and gentlemen, saying that they're going to move to Soldier Field. You live there already. You're going to move across the street? It's the toughest move in the world. I knew a guy that lived on the 1st floor, tried to move to the 2nd floor. It took him 3 days. Because it's easier to move out and move something back in on another, building than to go up, and to carry things upstairs and to bring them through the one house. Okay. I couldn't believe that the Chicago Bears, that was their latest bluff. To think that we'd fall for something like this, that you're trying to twist Arlington Heights and Naperville or whoever may want you. Okay. I mean, I'm ready to buy land down in Huntley out here. There's a big spread. Maybe we'll put it out here. You got to drive, but it will be at least, we'll look like SoFi. We'll look like SoFi. The Chicago Bears for an empty threat. How dare you? All right. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen. You know who started all this? About Florida State? You know who started all this? Auburn. It's like it was fixed. 4th and 31. Throw the touchdown. instead of knocking it down. People forget that Florida State played a couple SEC teams and won. People forget that Alabama was 4th and 31 against Auburn, and they have struggled this year against other teams. Georgia loses a game by 3 points after winning 29 in a row. And now they are dropped to 6th. Dropped to 6th. These are the fat cats, the gutless, the guys that sweat when human resources knocks on the door. Now what did I do? These are the guys that determined and ruined 100 kids, coaching staff, and otherwise, and faculty and school spirit by going undefeated and being left out to try to decide the national championship because they can't win it, Johnny. Yeah, let's go, Alabama. And you know what? Here's my key. Oh, this will all be over after next year. Are you kidding me? Next year, they're going to have 12 teams. How many people believe that the SEC will try to get 6 of their teams in next year to the 12-team playoffs? How many? There'll be more SEC teams than any other. And they don't even play 9 conference games. How dare you?
Outstanding job. How do you feel after doing that? Are you a little dizzy now?
I feel good because, you know what? I got 10 other topics. I mean, you know, I just sit at home in amazement and just see the nonsense on TV, from the news to the sports, you know, to everything else. I just sit there and go, what happened? I go, thank God I'm going on with elbow.
Mm-hmm. Jailbreak says, I don't know what the NCAA is doing, but he does like the fact that it's not going to be just.
But let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Big Ten gets 3 teams in. The SEC gets 5 teams in.
Mm-hmm.
The Pac, no, there's no more Pac-12. The Big 12 gets 2 teams in. Now what? That's 10 teams. That's what's going to happen. I mean, I've never seen anything like it in the field of 67 in the NCAA. Well, how many teams from the Big Ten you think deserve to be in, Jimmy? 10, you know, out of 12. I mean, so that's what's going to happen here. Everybody that thinks this is over with, next year I'll be doing the same thing going, how did the SEC won? I mean, here's what I'm going to tell everybody, and Aldo knows this. I've been railing against the SEC forever. The fact they don't play enough games. Yep. The fact that you know what Alabama played? While Florida State was playing an in-conference game, Alabama played Chattanooga University and beat 66-10. You get ready for Auburn that they almost lost to. Yeah, they're walking in. And Georgia's out. I mean, that's a joke. The whole thing's a joke. And next year, wait and you see what happens. Vanderbilt with a 2-10 record. Hey, you know what, though? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's money for each school. So naturally, you want your league school to get the most.
Yeah. I've always looked at NCAA football as a training ground for the NFL. But even now, as you said in the beginning of the show, with these deals, Marvin Harrison might decide not to come to the pros next season.
I bet you right now. The NFL better start hiking some money. Now, I know this. The NIL is going to be regulated finally. Because you can't have guys driving. You can't have a 19-year-old driving a Rolls Royce. I just watched yesterday one of the great movies of our time. People don't even talk about it. The Yellow Rolls Royce with a George C. Scott, if you will, an Art Carney, a Shirley MacLaine, an Omar Sharif. And it's about a car, a yellow Rolls Royce that all these dignitaries own.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do an update. Shadur Sanders is going to drive up in one and get out in his Colorado uniform while there's 2 guys working for Jersey Sub that get a free sub after every win. They're linemen.
I love it. Aunt Maz says Mike needs to fire up and relax. When was the last time?
Fire up and relax. I am fired up from hot.
Fire up a marijuana cigarette. When was the last time you smoked a marijuana cigarette, Mike? Back in the 60s, maybe?
I smoke 10 a day. And what's funny is I'm immune now. Or I'm more. I smoke, COVID don't even want me. COVID has their convention. COVID goes, all right. Here's the guys that haven't gotten COVID yet. We got Tom Scanlon from Baltimore. Is he a candidate for COVID? Yeah, he hasn't had it yet, and he only got one booster. Okay. And there's got this guy, Mike North, out of Chicago. What did he have? We don't know. But all we know is he drank for 50 years. And he had trouble hitting his immune system. And we sent 5 COVID germs towards him in a V formation to try to attack from different parts of his body. What happened? Well, 2 came back, but we don't know what happened to the other 3. So, yeah. So, no. I don't discuss my private life. I don't know if I could do a show if I smoked 10. You know. But it's always going to be, it's behind closed doors because it's illegal. I understand still to smoke in your car or anything, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Can you take gummies? How many gummies you taken since?
I've taken maybe 2, and they're supposed to help me go to sleep, and they didn't, so I don't take them anymore.
They throw like a search in there, and they go, "This is gummy." They throw like a jelly bean in there. Here you go. And then you walk around for 2 hours. You ever see the old honeymooners? This is the best one. Art Carney and Jackie Gleason, the greats. They see a pitcher of grape juice, but they think it's wine.
Okay.
Table. And they start drinking it. And Jackie Gleason goes, "Wow, I can't feel my face." You know, they're acting like and it's grapefruit juice, you know, it's mind over matter. It's mind over matter.
It really is.
You got to know, you got to be able to perform under any look, I worked with colitis. I never drank on the air or before going on the air. Never. I figured the other 14 hours were enough. You know,
I love it, Mike. Before I get you out of here, here's the Bears +3.
Oh, we didn't even talk about this.
Yeah. So, what do you think? I was actually thinking about betting the over because I think both of these defenses are going to give up some points, but it is going to be cold and windy at Soldier Field.
Is Curtis Conway coming back to ring the bell?
I don't think so.
That was our first round draft pick. It was a receiver. They go, "What do you think of Chicago? It's cold and windy." I go, "We're done." You know what? I would probably take the under in this game. If I had to take a total, I'd take the under because if it's windy, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Then they got to run the ball more because you can play in rain, you can play in sleet, play in snow, play in the sunshine if there's no wind. If there's wind, it's a little tougher. So I'd probably take the under, but I haven't been that hot the last couple of weeks anyway.
Oh, you've cooled down a little bit, huh? Well,
I started out really, really hot, but I've cooled down. That's what gambling is. It's like the stock market. You got to keep going. For the odds couple, I'm 20-19-3, but Carmen's on fire. Carmen's 21-9. Our producers are 7-3. So I'm holding up the end, and I'm 500, above 500. So we're doing fine. But the last 2 weeks have been hard, man. Last 2 weeks. I'm going to start taking hockey, I think.
You were good at hockey.
I was good. I got off it. I'm going to start taking, look at the Ottawa game.
All right, Mike.
We've been on.
We have been 58 minutes and 30 seconds.
Fast.
It does. It does. What is that, Mike?
Gotta tighten up.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us live. We've got more programming coming. The best way to stay on top of stuff is subscribe to the Barroom Network on the YouTube channel.
By the way, great job with the Buffon promo with Doug.
Oh, thank you.
Great job, Eldo. And I also want to say hi to my buddy Brad Gams, who I went to see the other day at Raul Jewelers. Go over there. You can see the sparkles from miles away. Go over there.
Miles away. Yep. They're over on Barrington Road in Hoffman Estates. Make sure you keep them in mind when you're thinking about holiday gift ideas. Hey, Mike, go hit the weight room, all right? We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.